As they say, it takes a village to raise a child. It does take a village to raise a child. We live in nuclear families, we have moved to cities, and hence there are less support available from the ecosystem.
I think we constantly question ourselves as parents. Am I doing it right? Should I do it differently?
Should I do it differently is a powerful question, because essentially what you're looking to let go of is the way your brain is. And looking to develop a new perspective. I'm saying, is there anything called right parenting? I don't think so. All of us make mistakes. I get upset on my child, we get upset on our partners. There is no question of right parenting. There's question of mindful parenting, definitely. I'm sure that children are just maturing earlier. At the same time, depression, anxiety in children have increased. And I believe some of it is happening is because we are rushing our children. Gentle parenting is not about agreeing to what your child says. Gentle parenting is not about letting your child do whatever they want. Our role as a parent is to help a child understand their place in the world. This is the first generation of children that we are raising who are going to be unhealthier than their parents.
We as parents are living in times of unprecedented changes, and raising children today comes with its own set of unique challenges. From technology's role in shaping young minds to environmental factors that we sometimes overlook, how do we manage it all? Today, we will break it down for you. Joining us is Harpreet Singh Grover, also known as the Curious Parent, who has been researching parenting and child development for years. And what he truly wishes for is that every parent understands their child on a deeper level, be it emotionally, mentally, or physically. His perspective on technology, environment, and education are thought-provoking. And I'm excited to dive deeper into them today. Welcome, Harpreet. It's such a pleasure having you here today. And I have been wanting to have this conversation for a long time. I have been following your content, your social media handle, and I think everything you talk about is just such a useful content for parents in today's time.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here. I'm looking forward to chat with you.
Absolutely. So I'll start with the most common feeling we as parents, today's parents have, is that parenting for us is so drastically different than parenting used to be for our parents.
Okay.
And how do you think this shift has been, and how it is in today's time and how it used to be?
So obviously it has changed. Actually, let me ask you, why do you think this has changed?
Because I feel the times were just a lot simpler earlier, and our parents didn't have this constant pressure of wanting to be the perfect parents and have everything in place. But now, in today's times, I think we are constantly running around and rushing to make it all perfect for our kids. That is the massive change I have seen. And of course, the technology bit, the education bit needs to be spoken about. But that is my feeling. I don't know how you feel about it.
So I think in general, life has become more rushed. There is no question about that. If the GDP has to grow, people have to work faster, everybody has to do more. And life is more rushed than before. But I think there are three major changes that have happened. I think one is parents are physically less present than they were before. Right? So in our time, 20, 30 years ago, at least one loving adult would be with the child for the first 6, 7, 8 years of life, no questions asked, all the time. There was no question of, in most cases the mother, in few cases the father, one loving adult not being there. There's no such,
Absolutely.
It was always there. So parents were physically present, at least one loving adult, which has become absent today. Right? And that leads to loss of connection, and that leads to a lot of other symptoms that we see. So this is one. The other which has happened since iPhone came is that we are physically present and mentally absent. Which means our mind is not at the same place where our body is. So even if let's say a parent is working from home or has taken a break, they're still less available for the child than they were earlier.
Willingly or unwillingly.
Like the phone as a device. Like in my head, I sometimes think it calls out, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. There's this vibe coming out, right? So I think parents are physically less present and mentally less present, because of which parenting feels harder. The third thing that has happened is that Earlier, there were a lot more stakeholders. As they say, it takes a village to raise a child. it does take a village to
Yes.
raise a child. And now we live in nuclear families, we have moved to cities, and hence there are less support available from the ecosystem. The support that is available is professional.
Yes.
You have school to send to, a childcare to send to, who, if you're fortunate, you get a great place, a loving place, but at the end of it, everybody is there to make some money.
Yes.
Right? At least in the initial 5-6 years. If we have a village around the child, and even if we are living in nuclear families, if we can build a small community,
Yes.
that helps. I actually want to add one more reason why parenting has become difficult, which is that the agenda of the world has become all pervasive.
Absolutely.
Which is that if 40 years ago, at least let's say 40 years ago I was 1 year old, but I'm saying, let's say, 35 years ago,
Yeah.
so I was in Patiala, if I go on the road, there is no advertisement to be seen. There is no ad inside my house. There is this Doordarshan which comes for 1 hour a day.
Yes.
But that's about it. As a young kid, my mind is not accustomed to seeing all these ads and calls of the world.
Consume all that, yeah.
Right? So, but now, because that has happened and the absence of parents has happened, it is easier for a child to become like a little consumer and be attracted toward the agenda of the world. So
True.
all of it makes parenting
No,
harder.
absolutely. Couldn't agree more. The pressure is not just on kids, the pressure is on parents as well all the time, because we are also like part of this race which is happening around us. And the FOMO is really big, and
So if you take
it's not
pressure, there is
easy to deal with.
No, absolutely. Is the pressure real? Yes, it is real. But I'm saying pressure happens if you take it. I think the crux of it is we have somehow been told you can have everything.
Yes.
You can be a parent. You can do a job.
Yeah.
You can do everything at once while living in this small box of yours. I do believe it is possible for all of us to do everything. I just think it is not possible for us to have everything at the same time.
Yeah. One thing at a time.
One thing at a time. And, yes, I believe in that. Like, I took a break after our daughter turned 3-4. My wife had taken a break, and then I took a break. So we've taken these turns. Life has turned out to be that way, that we have been around to pick our daughter from school, stuff like that. I think it is important.
I'm sure, yes. I'm just very curious to know what made you interested into creating content around parenting and how the whole inspiration came about.
It's a slightly long story, but the crux of it is I used to run a company which worked with graduates in colleges. So 22 years old. And we used to help them connect to jobs, assess them, filter them, and put them that you're suitable for this job, you're suitable for this job. We used to do that. Over 12 years of doing it, I realized that even if you give feedback, they don't change. They are like a arrow shot from a bow.
Yes.
They're going in the same direction, and it is hard for them to change. So unless something personal happens in their life or midlife crisis happens when they're 40, they're going to go down that path. And it just felt like I was wasting my life. There was money to be made, but it no longer made me get out of bed. Around that time, our daughter was born, and around that time, I took a break for 2-3 years. So we sold the company, I took a break.
Yeah.
And to understand our daughter, I started reading child psychology, and I understood that the first 7-8 years of life matter.
Absolutely. The most important years.
I don't know if the most important years or not, but definitely important. Because when we say most important, it somehow feels like that if your 7-8 years haven't gone well, you're doomed for life.
Yeah.
So they are extremely important, without doubt.
Yes.
At the same time, all of us have the agency to change whenever we want to, right? So if you and I want to change, if we have some trauma from our childhood, you want to now take care of, we can take care of it.
Yeah.
But it is, अच्छा है अगर बच्चों को trauma ना दे तो, life can be better.
Absolutely.
So I saw myself just floating towards reading child psychology. When I read it, I realized that the first AI of our brain is written in the first 7-8 years without our consent. Consent has become such a big thing now. It should always have been, but now it is out in the open. But if you see, when we are born, we don't give consent to anybody to write on our brain, to imprint on our brain. Today, if I say something to you, you have a choice whether to accept it or reject it. The child doesn't have such a choice.
True.
Right? They are feeling with their entire senses.
And that is when the most initial years, they become very important because you're setting the right foundation for them.
Absolutely. Right? Because if you don't have the first AI model right, then you either have to rewrite it again later or do something with it, which becomes harder. And as I kept doing it, I did a small, audio podcast that got somehow 1 million listens. So my friend told me to stand against a wall, do a video. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to put my face out there. But we put that one video, and that video got more views than my audio podcast over 6 months. So then I said I have to choose between, my personal preference and what I really believe, that every parent should understand their child.
Yeah.
And this has happened. I've been doing it for the last 18 months or so, 20
lovely.
months. So it's been interesting.
How nice. Very nice journey, I think. But I'm really curious to know, because you really emphasize on right parenting comes from understanding your child well, right? You really need to understand them emotionally and mentally to be able to set the right parenting. I don't know if there's such a term as right parenting, but how you think the psychological aspect of it, like understanding your child even better, has changed your life and your child's life?
So I'm saying, is there anything called right parenting? I don't think so. All of us make mistakes.
Yes.
I get upset on my child. We get upset on our partners.
Yes.
So there is no question of right parenting. There's question of mindful parenting, definitely.
True.
In my head, the entire journey of our life is to move from compulsiveness to consciousness, right? So if we can be conscious of ourselves, of our actions, then I'm saying we can be more present. Automatically our parenting can be nicer, is what I believe. You said, how does understanding children help? The beautiful thing about understanding children is that in some ways the software and the hardware is the same. A child who is born in India and the child who is born in Russia, the child is the same. If the same child was born in India, we take them to Russia for the first 6 years, they will start speaking Russian, right? The Russian born child, they might have blue eyes, blonde hair, but if you bring them to India and they grow up here, they're going to speak in Hindi and English.
It's your environment.
It's the environment.
Yes.
So obviously genes contribute, but we get a software and hardware which is same across the world, or very similar across the world.
Yes.
Right? Now, what has happened is, because you mentioned earlier this idea of FOMO and rush, children have become like I don't know, for example, in Bombay where I live, there are these mango trees on the road. In those mango trees, which are on the road, in the middle of a busy street, I have never seen ripe mangoes.
Okay.
Because they're always plucked before. Because उसको लगता है मैं आज नहीं तोड़ूंगा तो कोई और ले जाएगा कल सुबह. So somebody comes and plucks them, which is what is happening to our children. In this FOMO of seeing, let's say, a reel where a child is doing so well, and hearing from a neighbor, मेरा बच्चा लिख रहा है, hearing from a cousin, मेरा बच्चा पढ़ रहा है, their child is doing gymnastics, this person has to go to IIT. In all of this, and what is happening is we are rushing our children, right? So when we are rushing our children, we are forgetting that the first 7 years of life are not for that.
No.
The first 7 years for life are actually in some way, still the fall of teeth, are for the body to grow. The fall of teeth signifies that the body has reached some optimum stage, after which the child is ready for more mental notes.
Absolutely.
But we are filling our children with mental notes much earlier. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm sure that children are just maturing earlier, right? They're smarter. Somehow they're just smarter.
Yes.
At the same time, depression, anxiety in children have increased. I mean, teenagers, 20 years old, 22 years old, it has gone through the roof over the last 10, 15 years. Is there a direct link? I don't know. But these are two facts that are in front of us. And I believe some of it is happening is because we are rushing our children.
True.
And if we can understand that I will tell you another study, that in all the Scandinavian countries, children don't learn to read and write before the age of 7. It is only in India. हम छड़ी लेके वो my 4-year-old is not studying. What do I do? He's not writing. I've tried hitting him. He's still not writing.
Yeah.
You know, so all of that is
Yeah.
happening. But in Scandinavian countries, they know that the first 6-7 years of life are completely for playing.
Yes.
Right? And play also is a word. They are for involvement in life. For the child to just do whatever they feel like doing by mimicking others around us.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if we put mental load, then it has repercussions later.
ये मेरे साथ भी हुआ है. It has happened to me as well. वो environmental pressure, because you see other moms, other parents
Absolutely.
are pushing their kids, right? And unsolicited advices जो आपको आती हैं कि अभी तक इसमें साइन अप नहीं किया, अभी तक ये नहीं किया, oh your child cannot do this, ये एक्स्ट्रा क्लास क्यों नहीं किया, आफ्टर स्कूल क्या करवा रहे हो. So you as a parent start feeling the pressure as well. And if you are feeling the pressure, of course it reflects on your children.
100%.
And so I have 2 kids. My daughter, she went to a different
Congratulations,
school.
by the way.
Thank you. My daughter, she went to a different school, because I switched her school recently. And my son started at a different school. So my daughter, she was at a school where they started reading, writing from nursery. All that bit of a homework or pressure, like ye karke lana hai, ye likhna hai. So if she's not able to do it, but other kids are in the class who are doing it already, then you as a parent feel like हमारा बच्चा पीछे रह जाएगा, छूट जाएगा, अब हम कैसे इसको manage करें? So you start pushing your children, pressurizing them. So she started reading, writing, of course, because she is part of the race. My son, he's now 4. He still cannot recognize A, B, C. He cannot.
Congratulations again.
Yeah. And I am so happy he cannot. Because I don't want to rush him. I don't want to push him. What I can see that he's a very, very happy child. He's very happy in the environment he's been educated in. And he's truly enjoying school. My daughter used to sometimes wake up and say, oh, I don't want to go to school today. But I never hear my son saying that. He's truly having fun at school. And I think he's at an age where he's supposed to have fun at school.
So 100%. We are supposed to have fun actually all our life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. But at that age, we don't need to put stress to say do this, do that, do this, do that.
Yeah. Why are we rushing our kids? We should not be rushing our kids. But I think it's the environment. And one such thing, another thing is the use of technology, which is heavily has impacted our lives. All our work, office, everything has come down to our phones, right? There's no way I can today function without my phone. Not to consume any content on any of the social platforms, but to actually do my work for my office. I have to have my phone.
Absolutely.
Now, same counts for kids, right? At school, they're constantly being introduced to technology because they should be. That is the future for them. So they have to be, they have been handed over the iPads, the devices for a limited period of time to be active. So now they have gotten really acquainted to technology. Now they come home, so they demand technology at home as well.
Absolutely.
So how we as parents set boundaries here?
I think having clear boundaries is important. That's about it. If you say, what do you call, pediatrician doctor suggests is before the age of 2, no screen time.
Yeah.
After that, it keeps changing. But if you say after the age of 2, 1 hour a day for the rest of your life, that actually is great. Yeah. I'm saying that is a simplistic way to look at it. Now, some folks will say, कि अरे तुम as a parent देखते रहते हो phone, तो तुम्हारा बच्चा तो देखेगा ही.
Yes.
Some part of this is true, which is our children are monkeys. All of us are monkeys actually.
Yes.
We are only mimicking each other. That is how our brain learns, we see something, we do something, we see something, we start doing something, that becomes part of our mental setup. We are just the world's smartest monkeys. That is what it is. So when the child is going to see you on mobile, yes, they're going to want mobile or they're going to want a screen.
Yes.
Yeah, that is going to happen. At the same time, it is important for a parent to tell their child, look, we are adults and you are a child.
Yeah.
Right? So there's no question of equal rights here. Right? It's a question of being mindful around the child. At the same time saying, okay, you want some screen? Here is your screen time. It is going to be 30 minutes a day.
Yes.
Right? And then sticking to it. Now, sticking to it doesn't mean 30 minutes हो गए तुम बंद नहीं कर रहे हो ठीक है ना, तुम देख नहीं आता, तुम्हें तो स्क्रीन देखना होता है. It's not about shouting at the child and saying you are not able to control your 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's about being mindful and saying 27 मिनट हो गए हैं. Okay, let me go sit with my child. See the last 3-4 minutes myself. Tell them, we're going to switch it off in 5 minutes. And then switch it off together.
Start
and then
giving
go on
reminders.
Do your work, right? Parents resort to multiple techniques. They will say, "Oh, मेरा बच्चा सुनता नहीं है." I tell them कि Wi-Fi आधा घंटा ही चलता है. So I'm saying I'm absolutely not a fan of that method because essentially you're lying to your child. Sooner or later the child is going to catch up to it. They will know, right? And when they catch up to it, well, can it have repercussions on your relationship?
Sure.
Not big ones, but the fact that, okay, I genuinely can't trust my parents. They can lie if they want me to do something. It's not something I would want my daughter to think about us as parents. Yeah. And there is no need to lie. They just need to hold a boundary by saying it's 30 minutes and let's stop it. And maybe the child will cry, and it's okay for all of us to cry.
Yeah.
For you to cry, for
Let
me to
them
cry.
cry.
It's all fine. The child will then stop crying and the child will play. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, because it happens. They say it's not the right technique to threat your child, saying, and sometimes I also tend to do it, that you have passed your 30 minutes. If I don't have the iPad back in next 5 minutes, you're not going to get it next weekend. Your screen time will be reduced. So it happens that I get it back, but then I also feel guilty because threatening them is not the right technique. So I don't do it all the time, but sometimes I end up doing it. As you rightly said, we are not always perfect. Yeah. So what should be the right way of reminding them those boundaries and kind of...
I would say just go sit with the child for the last 5 minutes if you can, right? And then, now you're sitting next to each other, your bodies touching each other. The child is already out of the magic that the screen is throwing at them. They're back in the real world. But actually what is happening during screen as well is they're physically here, but they're mentally somewhere else.
Yes.
Right? Which is what we are looking to prevent at that early age, because the dopamine addiction is zuk, 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 right? So essentially when you sit next to the child is jolted out of what is happening, and the parent is there. When I started doing the Curious Parent and it started becoming popular, we went from 300 followers last January to 1 million followers last couple of months ago. Yeah. When it became popular, I thought, will people now judge my child? That he talks about parenting. How is his daughter or their daughter doing? Or what will she do in life? And then I thought about that question for actually quite some time. And then I said, doesn't matter what my child becomes or what does she do in life. The only thing that matters for me to stay true to what I am saying is, does my daughter have a good relationship with me? And do I have a good relationship with my daughter? When she is down and out in life, at any point, will she feel like calling her father and mother and saying, I need help or I want to talk to you?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That is the connection. I think that is parenting. That is what parenting is all about.
And it's so rewarding when they actually come to you and share.
Yeah. So how do we make that happen? By shouting? No. By threatening? No. Then by what? In the first 6-7 years, sitting next to the child, being present.
Emotionally connect.
Yeah, and having a little more fun than all of us serious adults are used to.
I have also seen it practically when we turn everything into fun and games. It's a lot easier to get things done.
Absolutely.
Rather than, being angry about it.
Who likes a serious person?
Yeah. But sometimes you end up doing that as
it happens to all of us. And I'm saying, I want to say this to all the parents. If sometimes you end up shouting at the child, if sometimes you end up threatening, it is okay. Right? There is no question of, I am a bad parent today. No, I'm saying all of us are human beings. We slip and then we become conscious and then we improve. As long as we are improving, it's all fine.
Recently, I was having a conversation with one of the fellow moms who was a full-time working mom.
Okay.
And she was busy in a very important meeting on her iPad, and the child comes in and constantly wanting something. And I think the child is hardly 4 to 5 years old.
Okay.
And because there was so much pressure from her workplace, she ended up pushing him.
Okay.
Go away, I need to finish this, because he was just not listening, child being a child, right? And of course, as a mom later on, she was filled with so much guilt that I have done something very wrong to my child. Of course, it takes a lot of toll on the moms because you're always split into multiple things. Should she then go back to the child and apologize? What should be the after, like the way to deal with it?
I believe in life saying sorry always helps, right? To yourself first.
Yeah.
And I'm saying showing kindness to first yourself,
Yeah.
right? That I understand why I did this. I was busy in the meeting and I ended up doing this. That doesn't mean I will reason this again and again and keep doing it. But I don't want to do it next time, but I understand why. And it is important to be kind to yourself. First, forgive yourself, right? And then you can go to the child and say, Mama loves you, right? I'm
Yes.
sorry, I pushed you. Mama loves you. Give them a hug. And I don't think the child wants anything else.
True. Because what we think as a parent a lot of times is that they're kids, they won't remember, they'll forget. How important it is to actually acknowledge this behavior that you've done something wrong and to actually talk to your young child about it.
You know, I'm going to give an example of this girl who was molested, okay? And she said that she was, I think, 13, 14, 15, and she was telling the story when she's now 30, 35, and she said, when that happened, I did not go home and tell my mom. And I asked her why. She said because she was afraid the mom would scold her.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we were chatting and it came from why could that have happened, right? And I'm saying if there is an incident in the childhood where, let's say, the same girl was wearing a white frock and she was playing in mud or she was playing outside. So let's say supposed to go to a party or whatever. And then her dress got mitti lag gayi uspe, right? Got spoiled. She went to the parent and the parent said, तुमने खराब कर दी dress, right? And कि तुम्हारी गलती है, तुमने dress खराब कर दी.
Blaming them.
Right? It is blame.
Yeah.
So now, essentially, I'm going back to the relationship you want with your child.
Yes.
If you want the relationship that the child should keep their feelings to themselves, then okay, blame them, no problem. If that is the relationship you want, right? But if you want the relationship where you want to feel connected, you want the child to be able to come up to you, discuss with you, talk to you, then you have to keep an open mind.
Yeah.
Right? Remember that a dress is a dress, that a meeting is a meeting, and that's about it. Right? So
Absolutely.
just go, say sorry, give them a hug, and move on. All of us remember, our body remembers, let me put it this way. And our body includes our mind. So this is all connected. So our mind might forget. You might not remember what happened to you in childhood, your body remembers.
Yes. And
yeah.
sometimes it comes back as a trauma if it was a very
Yeah.
bad experience. And
Right. And trauma again is it is real. I'm just saying it seems like a big word.
yeah.
Right? And I don't want to go there into saying I don't believe in gentle parenting. I'm saying this in the sense of because gentle parenting I think is misunderstood. Gentle parenting is not about agreeing to what your child says. Gentle parenting is not about letting your child do whatever they want. Right?
Yeah.
Our role as a parent is to help a child understand their place in the world.
Yes. And
Right.
preparing them.
Right? That is what parenting is, helping
Yeah.
our child understand their place in the world. Helping understand that they are not alone.
Yeah.
Right? First, wanting them, if we want them to be loving and caring people, then first that, and then that there are other people that they have to care about.
Yeah.
Their boundaries, rules, red light, signals, all of this is understanding of the world. So, and hence we can't agree to whatever the child says. This is not how parenting works. If you start agreeing to whatever the child says, the agenda of the world will eat you. Child says, I want Maggie. And you say, gentle parenting. Oh, here is Maggie.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
No.
Right? More screen. Doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. Absolutely. A lot of parents I have seen that having this argument, the mom and the father.
Okay.
Why do I have to be the bad cop?
Okay.
And you are only doing fun things.
Absolutely.
And I'm the only one who's being...
Do you have that argument?
No, not really, but I have heard parents have that argument. Do you think there is any such thing as a bad cop? And do you think children feel that you are not a loving parent if you're being very strict with them? And they start seeing you like that. Okay, my mom is fun, my dad is a bad cop. Or my mom is a bad cop and my dad is fun. Do they look at you that way?
I don't know how children look at things.
Yeah.
None of us know, really, truly. At the same time, I've heard so many stories of somebody saying that I thought that my mother was a bad cop and my father was a fun guy. But now that I'm 30, I look back, I realize my mother made the home. Right?
Yeah.
My mother actually is the one who sacrificed. Right?
Yes.
And and they have just so much more respect for the parent who they thought was the bad cop later. Yeah. But it has taken years for that to happen. Maybe
Yeah.
happen sometimes, maybe doesn't happen sometimes. That depends on the nature of life. My view is, if there are house rules,
Yes.
then the house rules are implemented by both parents.
Absolutely.
If you don't implement them as parents, then the child is going to exploit them.
Yeah.
Right? Say, मम्मी ने बोला मैं देख सकता हूँ.
Huh.
पापा बोल रहे हैं हाँ ये खाना ओके है.
You have to be on the same
like
page.
वो आइसक्रीम यहाँ से नहीं मिलेगी तो वहाँ से ले लेंगे, स्क्रीन टाइम यहाँ से नहीं मिलेगा तो वहाँ से मिलेंगे, and becomes more difficult by the way in a joint family.
Yes.
If your grandparents are living, so I'm saying somehow grandparents find it very difficult to not give mobile to the child. Right? I have heard the stories and stories of it, and that creates a problem. Right, in the house.
Yes.
And I genuinely believe what is truly required is for the grandparent to realize how damaging 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours of screen time for a young child can be. That is the only way to change. But I don't think there should be a good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
I think there should be rules which we set together as family on the dinner table while we are chatting with each other, and then we implement. When we are together setting rules, the way I look at it is we co-create reality. So that actually has helped me a lot to say we are going to co-create a reality together. So the rule is not I am the parent, I am going to implement a rule, you are going to follow. Right?
Yeah.
The idea is, look, screen time has to be managed. How much screen time should we have? Okay. Why don't you have 10 minutes a day? No. Mama, I want more. Okay, how much? 15? No, 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes. Okay, now we have set screen time together.
Yes.
And the father is also there, I'm saying, and we're setting it together. Maybe the entire family is there if you live in a joint family.
Yeah.
I'm saying, a lot of parents right to say, my child is acting out, he's angry, he's upset, or he throws tantrums. In so many cases, the crux is the child doesn't feel in control of his or her life.
Yeah.
And all of us want to feel in control of our lives.
Absolutely.
It is the absolute
Basic
most,
human right.
It's basic human.
Isn't it?
It is.
I mean, we have to treat our kids like adults these days.
I would say we have to treat ourselves like children.
Yeah. Okay.
If we treat ourselves like children, I think we can play more, we can be more carefree, we can laugh a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I would say that. And yeah, the fundamental is none of us are in control of our lives. We don't know what will happen. Yeah. We are just this tiny, minuscule part of whatever is going on. But we like to feel we are in control.
Yes.
Children also want to feel that they are in control. It is if we can split the brain into 3 parts, this is the base part. Only when the child feels in control is the heartbeat in control, is the anxiety in control, is the temperature of the body in control. Only when that is in control can the child emotionally develop, can the child do higher IQ stuff. Right? So when we put too many rules, when we put rules saying we are putting the rules, when we do that, the child feels control mere haath se ja raha hai. If my daughter tomorrow says I don't want to go to school, I am okay, but she can't sit at home and see screen. That is not a possibility.
No.
But I'm saying I will ask her, so what is your plan? She is now 9, so these conversations are possible. If she says I want to go to school, I say, okay, so what is your plan? What do you want to do? Yeah, and then we'll have a discussion. At the end of the discussion, I am not going with the mindset saying I have to convince her to go to school. No, I want to understand what made her say I don't want to go to school. Right? I want to understand, does she have a view on life that I am not looking at?
Yeah.
Right? And that is a discussion because I want to co-create reality with her. If we can co-create reality with our partners, with our family, with our children, I think it helps a lot.
Yeah. Coming back to the screen time. So, talking about screen time, and I saw you also recently speaking about it. This new law in Sweden that children under the age of 2 should not be exposed to screen times at all. So, what is your take on that? And what you think screen time does to kids under that age?
One, I think it is a beautiful law. I wish India passes a law like this.
Yeah.
I think there are guidelines, but those guidelines need to reach everybody.
Yes.
Right? That is what needs to happen. When I say those guidelines should reach everybody, I mean every parent, every grandparent who gives screen as a way to manage a child's emotion, to be able to do their work, should understand what excessive screen time can do to a child's mental health.
Yes.
Right? And what does it do to a child's mental health? Right? One is there is constant dopamine hit that is coming to your head. Now, if you see a channel like Cocomelon, the way they design the way Cocomelon designs what they have made is they'll put a child in front of the screen seeing Cocomelon, okay? And then they will put a small screen here which has a real life scenario happening, okay? Whenever the child takes their eyes away from this and sees the real life scenario, they make a note. And they improve the screen so that the child doesn't focus on real life.
Okay.
I'm saying this is the extent to which companies are going to make money off us. Right? Hence, these are all addictive.
Yes.
Hence, the dopamine rush. Hence, all the tantrums. Hence, all the virtual autism, the delayed speech. All of those are a factor of big screen time. Now, if you don't give screen time to your child, but you keep your child, let's say, locked inside a room. Let's say you've not given screen time. You keep your child locked inside a room. Does the child develop well?
No.
No, right? Because not giving screen time is not the only solution. To have a child who's growing healthily and happily, we need a child to be interacting with life. Right? That is what we need. Screen time takes away that time plus fills that time with dopamine addiction. Right? Now, if you're giving screen time to your child when they cry, what is going to happen when the child is 23 and cries? They're going to sit in front of the screen and, maybe I've heard some of the friends I have who are female say, I'm not feeling great today, I'm going to go shopping. Okay. Now, I don't know what is the origin of this, but I've seen more women, less men use shopping as a way to get back in control of their life, to feel saner again. Right? Do you think that is true?
It could be one of the ways of stepping out of the house also.
Sure. That actually is a
I
good
do
point.
that sometimes just because I feel that, again, coming
need some
back to
space.
technology, most of the things are now happening at home. We do not do our groceries from the supermarket. We just order everything online. So most basic things, we are not going out and buying by ourselves anymore. So sometimes then I really have to push myself कि आज घर से order नहीं करना है. I want to go out. खुद जाके खरीद के लाना है.
This, by the way, I think I'm glad you brought it up. This, I think, once you have children, this is the way to involve children in life.
Yeah.
Right? If we have somebody to clean our car, if we have somebody to take care of the house, somebody to cut the vegetables, somebody to make the food, Zepto or Blinkit or whatever to order food for us, when will a child get involved with life? And children need to use their hands and feet. Right? If we use Paytm or whatever Bharat Pay, etc. to pay everything, when will a child hold physical stuff?
Yeah.
If you're on Kindle, move back to reading a book if you have a child.
Yeah, regular books.
Just because it is physical in nature.
Yes.
For the first 7-8 years of life, the more physical involvement children have, the better it is for their mental and body growth.
True.
Right? But coming back to the screen time thing, I hope everybody understands that screen time below the age of 2 should not be given to a child. After that, half an hour, 1 hour a day, if you give so that you can manage your life, because we are living in nuclear families, busy lives, etc., it is absolutely okay.
Yeah.
But the other 23 hours, the child should have enough sleep and the child should be involved with real life. This I hope every parent should know. And if only this much every parent can know, you're actually mostly sorted.
Yes. But most of us know, but giving screen is sometimes the easy resort. Like, what happens is like, I feel the consistency is very important, right? So if you have set the rule ki sirf weekend mein milega, then we have to stick to it. But for example, I have some very important meeting going on, or I'm in a flight and there's no way I'm able to keep my child calm. So that time, the only thing which comes to your mind is quickly just hand over the phone for that like half an hour, because that's the easiest solution to calm them down. So for us also as parents, it has become a solution in difficult situations. And I think a lot comes from the pressure of other people not understanding your situation, because at that time you feel like, oh my God, what do I do? My child is really cranky right now. I have to really calm her down, because there are so many people who are getting affected, who are also getting disturbed. So that pressure also makes you do certain things in certain situation. So how do parents tackle this? And I think a lot to do with community building, as you said.
No, absolutely. I think one, for everybody else to understand what the parent is going through.
Yeah.
If they have empathy, it becomes easier, right?
Yeah.
But I genuinely believe a confident child comes from a confident parent.
True.
Do you want a confident child?
Absolutely.
Right? Everybody wants a confident child. Right?
Yeah.
I want a confident child growing up. And if we are confident, I'm saying if we feel embarrassed by how people are seeing us,
Yeah.
right? I can tell you that is going to pass on to the child. The child is going to anyways figure it out, do things to embarrass you, so that the child gets screen. Right? So that is the first step the child is going to do. The second is they're going to throw a tantrum so that they can embarrass, so that you feel embarrassed. Right? So they're going to throw tantrums so that you feel embarrassed, so that they can get a screen.
That's their way
a child
of
is very smart,
negotiating
smartest
it.
monkeys in the world.
Yeah.
Right? And what is the second thing that will happen over long term, which is a possibility, is they understand this is something to be embarrassed about. That if 5 people are staring at you, you have to be embarrassed.
Yes.
Okay? But if we can be confident that, look, my child is crying. Okay?
Yes.
And it is okay. They will calm down. You know, I say sorry to everybody else around me. I'm sorry. Okay? And I sit with my child and I hold my child. Sorry?
Should you say sorry?
No, you can. I'm saying if you
Yeah.
feel like saying sorry, if others are getting disturbed, if somebody is on a call with somebody else, you know, we should say sorry. Like I was saying earlier, you know, if we have to say sorry, and then sit with your child, right? Also, at least this is what we did when we were traveling with our daughter. We used to have a small bag, which we used to get her to fill and say, and I'm going to come back again to co-creating reality.
Yes.
The co-creating reality is, hey, we're going to take a flight. The flight is a long flight. Now for a 4-year-old, 2 hours is a long flight, 4 hours is a long flight, everything is long.
Yeah.
Take a long flight. What do you want to do on the flight? Okay, what should we do? Why don't you go to your room, pick some things that you want to do on the flight? And the child goes, or you go with the child, you help them pack a small bag. Okay?
Yes.
And that bag has maybe a puzzle, it has a book, it has 2 magnets which can hit each other, right? So small stuff like this, maybe a teddy bear they like, whatever they like, you fill it. And then when you sit on the flight, you don't remind them about it. Because you want the time, as much time as can pass without anything happening.
Yeah.
Now if the child is getting bored, because the child should get bored sitting, you say, where is your bag?
Yes.
And the child takes out the bag and the child starts playing with it. And forget all of this. A piece of paper and some colors works wonders.
The best thing, yeah.
But what you have done now is you have co-created reality. You know, rather than being in a situation where you are already embarrassed, and now the easiest thing obviously is to give them a bag.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah.
You know, a lot of times I just look back and I think, how much time did our parents really invest in thinking, oh, I have to ensure my child is busy. I have to plan their play dates. I have to plan their after school activities. I personally don't think that they were so busy with us so much, like as we are in today's world. The amount of pressure we have in today's time, like, okay, Friday, this play date, Thursday, she has this class, or Wednesday, she has to be there. So at some point, it was coming a lot on me because I was just constantly busy in planning my children's days and activities and everything around them. Why you think that was so different for our parents, and why is it so different for us?
First of all, Priyanka, I want to thank you for actually saying this. It is not easy to acknowledge as a mother that this got to me, and to say, yes, I do all this with my children. At the same time, the reason you're also asking this is because somehow deeply we know what we are doing is not absolutely on point, right? We know this is causing stress in the family, right? Within us, within our children. There's something that is off. One, I want to go back to agenda of the world, which is, if you see somebody's elder child doing something, you want your child to do that. If somebody else says there's a gymnastics class happening, do you want your child to go? No, obviously I want my child to go to gymnastics class, right? Who doesn't want? So I think this agenda of the world, where so many things are happening and are available and within our reach, and we can, and if we don't do it for our child might get left behind, is contributing to it. The second, I think, is that there is some part of guilt where as parents we feel that we are not giving enough time to our child.
Yeah.
And we are trying to fill that same time with other things we think we are doing for our child. Yeah. The third thing that is happening is, earlier there were a lot more kids around each other.
Yes.
They were just there. There was no monitoring. There was just free
play. Yeah.
If we take away this opportunity from children to free play, we're actually setting them up for failure. So my view today is for my child to come to me and say, I want to join this class.
Yes.
Any parent who's listening, you do not need to put a young child below the age of 6 into any class. You can take them around your society. They might see a class and wait for them to say, Mama, Papa, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Right? That is...
So there's a very thin line between pushing your children and encouraging them to do something. I'll tell you how. So you signed up your child into a class, gymnastics, for example. She's done 2 classes and now she comes back to you and say, oh, it's too boring, I'm not enjoying it. Okay, fine, I'm going to sign you up into football. 2 classes, again, I don't want to do it. Now you try the third thing, again, I don't want to do it. So eventually it has become like everything she's tried or he's tried, they're not consistent with it. So as a parent, one side you feel like, okay, I should not push them to do something they're not truly enjoying. And on the other side, you feel like a little guilty, like, am I not trying hard enough for them to be consistent and, try harder for the things that I'm exposing them to? How should you tackle such a situation?
At the base of it, if you see, one, there is, in some ways, lack of respect for money. Right? Why? Because a lot of us and a lot of people who are listening to this, we have enough money to put our child into 5 classes. We have lack of time, but we have enough money to put our child in 5 classes, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is, we are putting the child in 1 class, then okay, I'm saying, 4,000 rupees chale gaye to chale gaye. It's okay, right? So I think this value goes away a little bit.
Yeah.
Does this mean we need to beat our child to go to...
I do say, mera paisa waste mat karo.
हाँ.
I signed you up, jana to padega.
It is actually great. I think it is actually great. So I think the thing here is, if this happens once, it is okay. Because there are many reasons this could happen. Oh, my friend was going, I want to go.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, the teacher was strict with me, so I don't like it. So many reasons when the child could have, let's say, a real reason to not go.
Yes.
And I don't enjoy, I don't want to go. So that is fine. Once in a while is fine. But if it has happened couple of times, I would say to my child, hey, you can choose another class, but remember we give money. So now if you choose, we have to go at least 1 month. Okay. If after 1 month you don't want to continue, that's your choice.
Yes.
But I am going to take you for 1 month, or you will go for 1 month. That is important.
True.
Okay. This also works with a child only after a certain age. With a 4-year-old, it is just hard to do, right? I'm saying because they don't understand, because it's all mind. It's a discussion, right? This is not happening.
No.
This is on the level of the mind. So wait for the child to come to you to say, I want to do a class.
Yeah.
If they're dropping out of too many classes, talk to them and then say, whenever you sign for the next class, you have to go for a month.
Yes.
Yeah, that is what I would do.
A lot of times we feel like we struggle with understanding the emotions of our children. And many of us have this concern when kids come home, they don't talk about their day at school. They don't share anything what has happened at school. And I think most of the kids are not doing that. Should we be as parents worried that our children are not talking enough about their day? And how should we encourage them to express their emotions even more frequently?
So if your child doesn't share anything with you, yes, you should be worried. Right? If your child doesn't feel you are the person they can open up to,
Yeah.
you should be worried if that is if that is what you wanted as a parent. And worried, I feel this worry is in this circle of concern. You're worried, doing nothing about it. You have to move to circle of control. What does it mean? Oh, my child is not sharing anything with me. What makes my child not want to share? And then you have to reflect on your behavior. When they were sharing, did I ask them to chup? Did I start giving solutions too soon? All of that you have to think about, right? So you have to move from the circle of concern to circle of control, which is self-reflection.
Yes.
And then changing what you have to change. So it is possible when our children come home, and they've had the school, they don't want to talk.
Yes.
That's okay. Okay?
Because sometimes we end up thinking कि अभी बच्चे हैं इसलिए शायद इतने expressive नहीं हैं. Later on they'll become more expressive.
Yes, if there's a connection between the parent, then whatever big thing, whatever they feel is big in their life has happened, or of consequence, they will talk to you. If you have a connection, 100%.
Yes.
They might talk to you when before sleeping.
Yes.
Right? Because that is
that's
a great
the best
place
time.
to chat. No?
Yes.
At the same time, if you want more of this to happen, self-reflect, see if you are the reason for this not happening. And second, share about your day. So let's say the child has come home.
Yes.
Then rather than saying, "Arey, kya hua school mein? Batao." You say, "You know what Mama did since morning? What Dada did since morning? I did this, then I did this. Oh, then I was about to slip, and then I was okay, and then I went to the market, and this happened, and then see what happens."
Yeah.
The child will share.
True.
Again, children are monkeys.
Absolutely.
What you behave, they will follow.
There's a very cool concept which my daughter's school they have introduced. So there's no homework. Abhi tak to nahi hai. She's now 8. It will be there later on, I guess. So they have the only homework they have. They get a daily log where they make the children write themselves a task for parents to do. And they come back home with that log and we read it. So for example, they would say, ask your child about one new word they learned today. So then they open up, they share. And in fact, something very beautiful happened, and there was a log which said, ask your child about what does resilient mean, and what is resilience. So I asked my daughter, okay, Gracia, I see you have read today what does being resilient mean? What do you think it means? And she just looked at me with a very deep thought behind her mind, and she's like, to me, resilient is you. And that was like, I was very emotionally, it really affected me, because sometimes we think that children do not understand the amount of pressure we go through, or we as a mother are kind of, trying to multitask all the time. And, but they know. They understand. And children are very smart. So it is, in current times, it's not like, oh, my mom is all the time frustrated or she's all the time angry. But they actually can see what is causing them. And it was just so beautiful to see that and hear that from her. And I was just so like emotionally, I was melted.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think those are the small techniques which we can introduce at home to, have our children open up to us.
No, absolutely.
I think we constantly question ourselves as parents. Am I doing it right?
You shouldn't do that.
And that happens a lot. Not just me, I think most of the moms I speak with. And that is how you end up with so many questions. Am I doing it right? Should I do it differently?
Actually, let me take my words back. I think, should I do it differently is a powerful question. because essentially what you're looking to let go of is the way your brain is,
Yes.
and looking to develop a new perspective
Yeah.
and see what more is possible. And there is this, a lot of people say there is, I do think there is a parental instinct. There's a mother's instinct, there's a father's instinct, there is parental instinct. Mother's instinct is truer because the child was with the mother.
Yes.
The father's instinct needs to be developed by
Yes.
spending time with the child.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Western influencers now say there is nothing like parenting instinct. If anybody is saying to manage your child or to be with your child, follow your gut instinct, that is untrue. You need to learn parenting. Yeah, I think that is untrue. Do we need to learn parenting? Yes, we do. But the reason for that is different. The reason for that is our world has become so busy that our mind is not calm enough to be in touch with ourselves. So when the child comes and I am doing a meeting, I easily get frustrated.
Yes.
I know this is not okay. I know guilt will come later. Right? Hence I need to build skills and I need to learn how to deal with it. But I do have my instinct, which is that I need to take care of my child.
Absolutely.
I am responsible. I think this instinct is very, very deep in most parents.
Yeah, definitely, and which drives everything. So the education in today's time, it has evolved a lot. The introduction of all the technology, AI, not to forget, a lot has been introduced, and the ways of learning are not really as traditional as they used to be. How do you think these changes are affecting our children in today's time, and what challenges or the opportunities it is bringing for them?
In COVID, everybody thought education has moved online, right?
Yeah.
All these edtech companies came up.
Yeah.
Everybody was learning online. Now that COVID has ended, what happened? Everybody's revenue went down the drain. People are back to learning offline. So online learning has a lot of value because sitting here, I can learn anything from anyone around the world. So that is valuable. But will I sit in front of the computer and learn everything in a silo? That is never going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is not what we were designed for.
True.
Right? We were designed as a species which wants to mix with each other. We want to talk to each other. We want to work together. We want companionship.
Yeah.
That drives us. So when a child is crying and the parent comes to pick up the child, the eyes lock, and you pick up the child and child is soothed, right? So the child, two neural networks mix, which are training right now. One is that I feel good, and the other is I am in touch with human company, right? So if our children are brought in touch with other humans around them, physical, and then only digital cannot be enough.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think education will ever move fully digital. It should not move with digital. For younger kids below the age of 12, some technology, use of Google, use of some AI is okay. Even in AI, which gives us one answer, versus Google, where you had to look at different perspectives and make your own perspective.
True.
I would rather give Google to my child, right, today, a search engine to my child, than saying to my 9-year-old daughter, here is AI, and AI will give you the answer.
Yeah. Making it too easy for them.
Sorry?
Making it too easy for them.
It is not about, one, it is easy, and second, it might be correct, it might be incorrect.
Yes.
Where is your perspective?
True.
The idea is, what is the idea of learning? The idea of learning is to be able to live our life. The idea of living life is to be able to have a perspective.
True.
Right? We develop perspective by doing. We don't develop perspective by reading.
Yes.
Let's say you read a book which said, if you are angry, try to stay calm. Something of that sort. Does that help? It doesn't help. You have to implement it in a movement.
And how?
Right? I'm saying you have to practice it. Let's say meditation is a way to get there. But meditation is doing. You can't read about meditation and say, now I'm feeling calm. You have to meditate. Right?
Yeah.
We have to do, even as adults. For children whose hands, legs, muscles, groups, all are developing, they have to play around, I think 10x more than what children are playing around right now. So all these diseases, illnesses, children falling ill, our mind and body are connected. They are coming because children are not playing enough. They're just maybe studying too much, reading too much, etc., etc. They need to be up and about. And at some time, yes, again, technology is useful.
Yes.
We have to use it. It is because of technology. What you say, what I say can reach millions of people.
True.
So technology is useful. At the same time, my mother, who picked up a phone when she was 55, has gotten fully used to it. She understands everything. So why are we afraid our children won't pick technology? They will pick technology. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Right? So we need not be afraid. We need to give technology to our children early on.
Mm-hmm.
There is no such need. They are anyways exposed. Okay? They need to learn by doing.
Yes.
Their hands, feet, everything needs to be used.
True.
That is what is important. I will actually tell you that my daughter used to go to a school earlier. I won't name the school. We changed. We used to be in Gurgaon. We moved to Bombay. In midterm, we got, there's this international school my daughter used to go to. And we missed the orientation session. So she went for 6 months. And then there was the new class ka orientation session.
Yeah.
And the principal of the school stood there and she said, I want to tell all the parents and I want to say this is how the school works. So many things are changing outside in the world that every year we relook at our curriculum and we redo it and we make it new so that your child is updated. That was the point I decided I have to take my child out of the school. Human babies have been born in the same way for the past 2 million years.
Yeah.
They still need the same thing in the first 6, 7, 8, 10 years of their life.
Yeah.
If a school deciding what to do with the child based on how the world is changing, I think it's the worst school you can put your child in. Right? Because what we don't want is a child which keeps wavering here and there. What we want is a child who's centered, who no matter what happens outside has a
solid
place,
foundation.
a foundation from which they can operate.
True.
And for that, the child needs loving human company and involvement in life.
Yeah.
So I would keep my child away from any school which promises them an iPad or technology to the child in class.
Yeah.
Any preschool which says आधे घंटे का cartoon time होता है. I would keep my child away from all those places.
So we do say that we have to control the screen time and let children be free, out and about, play. But living in a place which is full of pollution, which is very, very unhealthy for kids. So for us parents also, it's very challenging because we have to keep the kids indoors. So pollution is also affecting it in a very big way. So how should we tackle this?
We are responsible for the physical and mental health of our children.
Yeah.
Both physical and mental, right? Is pollution real? Pollution is absolutely real, And if you ask, we moved cities because of pollution. We were in Gurgaon. After our daughter was born, we moved to Bombay. Okay. Bombay is also, now pollution in the last couple of years have gone up. But when we moved, the pollution difference between Delhi and Bombay was a lot. Delhi was here, Bombay is here.
Yeah.
Right? I'm saying we moved cities, I can call myself privileged.
Yes.
Okay, that I could move cities.
You had the possibilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the same time, there are friends who are privileged, but they continue to stay in Delhi. So I don't think it's a question of privilege. It's a question of priority.
Yeah.
Right. All of us can move. And if every resident of Delhi threatens to move, something will change.
Yeah.
The world, like when people say schools have to change, and I say schools don't have to change, parents have to change. Because schools are only a reflection of what you're demanding.
Yes.
Builders don't have to change. If you demand parking, you will get parking. If you demand playground, you will get playgrounds. Because builders want to sell flats. Schools want to sell admissions. So as parents, we have to change. If all parents in Delhi NCR threaten to move out and start moving out, prioritize their health and their child's health above everything else they do in life, things will change. Right? Now, why is pollution harmful? Pollution is harmful because children breathe in 3x more volume of air per body weight than adults. Their breathing is rapid. Right?
Yes.
So they get 3x more harm. That means if current AQI causes you 5 cigarettes worth of harm, to your child it causes 15 cigarettes worth of harm.
Oh my God.
Okay? The lining of the lungs is thinner. Okay? So the lining of the lungs is thinner. Because of that, the particles, they go through the lung and they infiltrate the blood vessels. Okay? And they stay there. Once they are there, my understanding is they can't get out. Okay?
Yeah.
And then, and what do we want for our children? I'm saying we can want so many things, but at the same time, ask anybody. वो बोलते हैं मैं पैसे का क्या करूँगा if I'm not healthy?
True.
Right? The rise in cancer
You can
cases.
have billions of problems till the time you get sick. Then it is one problem.
That is one problem. You are absolutely right. And I spoke to a lung specialist in Delhi, and he said, this is the first generation of children that we are raising who are going to be unhealthier than their parents.
Yes.
This is the truth of it.
Which is so sad.
Right? So, and I think it is harsh, but I think it is true. And I think if we don't demand change, it won't change. And so either you can demand change, get it changed, or you can move out and prioritize the child's health and your health over everything else.
As you say that kids, they mimic each other a lot. Their parents, their friends. And often parents get this question, why am I not, a lot of questions like, why am I not allowed to have a sleepover at my friend's house because my friends are allowed? Why am I not allowed to have a phone because my friend already has it? So how should we actually handle such a situation and explain to our children that the rules in our households are different than the rules in somebody else's household?
This is the reality that ends up happening everywhere. And it is bound to happen as your child gets older.
Yeah.
Right? I think one, and I'll go back to co-creating reality.
Yeah.
If you say this is the house rule, no discussion, you're going to break some connection with the child. When my child says my friends are allowed to have phone, I should also have a phone. So what are the options that a parent has? Parent says, अच्छा हाँ सही है, मैं भी आपको phone दे देता हूँ, so that you think I am a good parent. Okay, I don't want that because I understand as a parent the harms of too much social media or phone. So I don't want to preserve being a good parent in my child's eyes, but lose my child's physical and mental health. So this is off the table.
Yeah.
Okay. The second is, this is the house rule. Okay. No discussion. When you're 16, we'll talk.
Yes.
Okay. This is another way to do it. So now you have preserved the child's physical, mental health in some way, but you have broken your connection with the child. The third is, okay, let's come sit and let's talk.
Yeah.
You know, why do you think they are doing it? You know, why do you want to do it? Why am I saying no? Here, see, this person is talking about this. Here is a child who actually saw this much phone and screen. What are they doing now? Here are some talented musicians who are saying they are giving up their phone because they realize because of the phone, they have stopped becoming less creative.
Yeah.
Okay. Why not sleepovers? This is the danger in sleepovers. Okay. Okay, we'll build 1 or 2 trusted families where you can go and do a sleepover.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I am willing to have a sleepover in our house. Okay, that I'm comfortable with. These are all points we can discuss and come to some middle ground and co-create reality. And the idea is not to come to middle ground. The idea is not to give some and take some. The idea is to co-create reality so that our children can understand. Now it is possible sometimes children might not understand, you know, or they're unwilling to listen, which is dependent on whatever other relationship you have with the child.
Yeah.
In that case, I will still hold the boundary which I believe protects the physical and mental safety of my child.
True. Absolutely. Are there any ways that you can recognize that your child is going through some sort of trauma or some sort of emotional damage? So before we wrap this up, Harpreet, is there one piece of advice you would like to give to parents who are constantly juggling, getting confused, struggling, and finding it too hard in today's time to parent their children?
I think if you are a busy parent, if you are a parent who has a lot of things on hand, then one of the most wonderful things you can do for your relationship with your child is that whenever you meet your child after a gap,
Yeah.
be fully present for some time. You know, starting with a hug, starting with a hello, and being fully present at that moment. When a child is coming home, often children are even looking out of the bus to see whether my parent is there or not.
Yes.
And when the bus turns the curve, will a child see a parent looking at the mobile? Or will the child see a parent waiting for their child? I think that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So even if we might today have less time with our
Yeah.
children, in that time, if we can be more connected and more present, I think that can make a lot of difference.
What is that one trait or skill which you think every parent should master and which really works? I'll tell you what works for me.
Tell me.
Patience.
Patience.
I think that's the most important thing.
Give me an example of patience.
In the sense, like, we cannot expect children to behave the way we behave, in the sense of, reading faster, finishing homework in time, be on schedule all the time, or they want to take their own time with everything. And we as parents have to be very patient and give them the floor to explore and innovate and be creative, to do things the way they want to do. And sometimes even for harder things, like if they're not listening or if they want to push really hard to get something, then I think the patience is the only thing which works out for me, not to lose it and be angry on them. I just let them kind of finish what they're trying to tell me and how they want to proceed further. And I make them the hero of their story. I let them really express and explain to me, like, how they want to deal with a certain situation or how they would want to proceed further. And then, of course, if it is not safe or good for them, we talk it out. But I think patience is the key for me. I don't know.
No, I think patience. Anybody who wants to be a parent, better have patience.
Yeah.
Without that, it's
It
going to be
comes
absolutely hard for you,
naturally.
right? With a child clinging to you for the next
Yeah.
few years of your life, you not being able to do what you wanted to do,
Yes.
or what you thought you would do over the next few years. So, like I said, you can have everything in the world, just not at the same time, right? And I think patience, what you said is absolutely fantastic. Patience is required. What is important is that we don't internalize patience as stress as a parent. Right? That we replace our reaction with a calmer response, where not only outwardly but inwardly also we are calm.
Yes.
And that takes effort.
Yes.
Right? So I think that is critical, because what we don't want is that we are responding calmly but we are stressed.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that takes effort. If you can put that effort, absolutely fantastic.
Nothing like it. All right, Harpreet, I think that's been a very interesting and very insightful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing everything with us, and some very lighter questions, but also some very deep questions we have had. But now I want to move to a fun segment. So I'm going to be asking you some questions, and let's turn it into a more of a fun moment, and maybe share your own personal experiences.
Okay.
If you could invent one new parenting tool or a gadget to make life easier, what would it be?
I'll take away the mobile and screen rather than inventing.
Absolutely. We know you're a big advocate of minimizing screen time, but what's one kids show you secretly enjoy watching with your kid?
We watched Peppa Pig together.
Okay. I too. I love it. And we even read a lot of books around that. Describe your parenting style in 3 words.
Warm, funny, and fun.
The most essential ones. As a researcher, you know the science behind parenting, but what's one dad hack you swear by that has nothing to do with research?
Oh, I tickle my daughter. I'm saying if we are not getting along, tickling helps. It's helping so far. I don't know how long it will last.
How lovely. Well, those were great answers. Thank you so much. I think I had a lot of fun during this chat or conversation we had, but also a lot of knowledge and insight I have gained today.
Thank you actually for inviting me here, and thank you for actually the thoughtful questions. I think both that you had put together, and then a lot of them which came on the fly. And
as a mother, I had a lot of them. So absolutely.
And it is, like a mother said to me that I am and we had a couple of hours of chat. And then she wrote to me and she said, I am a terrible mother. After our chat, she felt that there was so much to learn, etc., etc., etc. And then I said to her that as a parent, okay, you have spent 2 hours of your life learning about how to be a better parent. Like, what better parent can a child expect?
Absolutely.
Right? I'm saying you have taken out time
You're willing
to do
to learn
this.
and change and
Absolutely.
adapt.
And like, you are here
Yeah.
to chat around parenting. You're taking out this time from your life to do this. Like, what other parent does a child need? And this is the kind of parent the child needs.
Thank you so much. I think it's been an eye-opener and really insightful conversation. So once again, thank you so much for joining us today, and I wish you lots of luck ahead, and I hope we get to see more and more content around parenting, and you keep helping all the parents out there who need
Thank you.
your help.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.